recently you did a Kickstarter for some phenomenal miniatures.
Yes.
And you did, for those of you that bought into the Kickstarter and aren't here, I have a ha-ha. These two, right?
Actually, all of these. There's 11 of them.
No, the two hidden ones.
Oh yes, those are the two.
They did something that I think is really cool. They kept two secrets. The swamp slugs and the hell vermin. Which I don't know if there's pictures of these up on the internet yet or not.
But I don't think there is. But then again, the internet moves fast. Since people provide the show,
you know what? There's probably pictures.
There could be pictures by now. And I should explain exactly the deal. This is not something that we kept secret all this time.
Oh,
that would be very mean. It wasn't part of the Kickstarter that we, hid from people or something like that. The deal was that, in this day and age, there's not a lot of secrets left. There's no surprises. It's too bad because when we were kids, you didn't know everything. Like I remember many times going to a movie theater and seeing a movie I had no idea about, and that happened to me with Raiders of the Lost Ark. We called the theater and we're like, "What do you guys have playing?" My mom did because I was a kid, and they said, "Oh, well, we have this Raiders of the Lost Ark." She's like, "What's that?" And he said, "It's like a new movie. It's like a new Han Solo movie." And so she says, "Hey, you guys, there's a new Han Solo movie." Jason and I were beside ourselves. We're like, "There's more! Like, oh, more Star Wars! This is amazing!" We go to the theater, we're sitting in the theater. It comes on, and we're like, "Why is Han Solo wearing a hat? Like, what's going on?" And they're like, "Shh, shh." It took us like half an hour to realize that Chewbacca was not in this film, but it turns out it was awesome. It was amazing. Our minds were blown in a totally different way. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Pulp Adventure, Indiana Jones.
That's
it's huge, right?
That's what you guys do too.
Yeah, and so the thing is, though, that was a surprise. This day and age, before you even go see a movie, like a year before a movie comes out, you know all the major plot lines, you know everybody who's in it, you know that there's like a secret thing after the credits. I mean, I don't know. The age of the internet is wonderful, but also there's nothing left to surprise anybody.
So the moral of the story is, Flying Frog wishes to give you a secret surprise at Gen Con.
This is what we're trying to do. Now, that's not the only thing about this. The other thing is that the Kickstarter was amazing. The Kickstarter was awesome. The Kickstarter allowed us to hire some more employees and grow as a company. The Kickstarter exposed us to a new audience that never even had heard of us before. All of these are amazing things. But one unforeseen downside is that we're all about the passion for these games, right? I mean, we're not doing this because we're all like going to be fat cat rich guys or something. We're doing this because we love games. And if you are doing it for some other reason, you're probably deluding yourself because people do not get like to be fat cat rich guys. Donald Trump did not start as a game maker. That's not how it works. We do it because we love games, we love gamers. When we come to Gen Con here, people are like, "Oh my god, last night in the hotel we were playing Last Night on Earth, and you will not believe what happened." And we're like, because we love it, and it's awesome. And people having a good time with the stuff that we're working on gets us pumped up and energized to go back and work all night long and making these things. And when we're bleary-eyed and it's a Saturday at 4 in the morning and we're there like working, it's easier to keep going when we know that people are out there enjoying this and we're doing it for them, right? And so one unforeseen downside of Kickstarter is everybody's seen everything they're working on for like down the road. And so we started going to shows like the Gamma Trade Show, and we were like, "Look, you guys, like the Burrower, or like the Harvesters, these new guys," and people were like, "Seen it? Like I saw that a year ago. Like what else you got going?" And it's really sad because it's like, no, like you just saw concept, like this is the real thing. Come on, you guys, this is so cool. We're excited, and so it's rough because we feel like there's no surprises left in the work we're doing. So in the course of these things, we started looking at, as we're developing these more, there are some holes in what we're doing. There's, if you look at like the different other worlds. You know, we have like an extra large creature, a large creature, small creatures and multiples, these things, and it kind of fits a pattern. But then we look at the Jargono, the swamp world of Jargono, we don't have a large enemy. And it's like, that's really weird. Why did we not end up making a large enemy? That would be something where we could fill that hole. That would be really cool. And so the Swamp Slug was born. We're like, what if we did a large enemy? We sat down, came up with ideas. In a couple hours, we went from there's kind of a hole here to Swamp Slug to concept art to starting to sculpt it, and the next day the sculpture was done and it was out the door. And it was insane, that turnaround. That's not happened for anything else, but it happened very organically. It filled a hole, it gave us a surprise, and now he's here at Gen Con that you can buy as a preview miniature. But none of this, because we don't want people feeling like we kept something hidden from them.
Yeah, that was my bad.
This is just something where, you know, we love this idea of being able to surprise people, and Gen Con, you know, if you have been or you haven't been, Gen Con is really like Christmas.
Yes.
For gamers of all ages.
Even if you just come to window shop.
Yeah, it's so much
really
fun.
is.
Yeah, and so, you know, we just want to share that excitement and recapture the notion of a surprise and stuff like you had when you were kids. So leading up to Gen Con, we were giddy with anticipation, like I wonder what they're going to think, you know. And even guys that are there from the Kickstarter where it's like, I already got a minecart, I'm getting all this stuff, I've seen it all, show me something new. Like, well, we have these swamp slugs over here, and they're like, oh, you know, and we were so excited about this. So, you know, it's important that people understand our hearts are in the right place. This was like so we can have a surprise.
I think you pretty much summed up the essence of the fraud.
Yeah, we're all about that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's great because I think some companies have lost it.
Maybe not. It can always be recaptured.
And that is a good thing too.
Yeah.
So, more about Shadows of Brimstone.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's see, if I understand correctly, you have finished fulfillment?
So,
mostly? I mean, like the core stuff?
So, do you want to talk about Kickstarters? Or do you want to talk about retail stuff? How would you like to do this?
Well, for the Kickstarter backers that may have missed an update.
Sure. For the Kickstarter backers, basically, the nutshell story of the Kickstarter is that we were going to do this game, Shadows of Brimstone. We had brainstorming sessions where no holds barred. Let's come up with all the ideas that we think would be cool. We generated a ton of ideas, and then once we were like, okay, take off the brainstorming caps, put on the business caps. Now, how do we make this fit in a box that we could sell, that we could actually, you know, afford to put out and be reasonable? It has to like be something that's a sellable product. You know, if you have like a $500 MSRP, no one's going to buy that. That makes no sense. So it's like, well, the most you can really charge, like for us and our audience, is probably $100. But we want everything under the sun in this box. So what do? And we put together something that actually costs, the retail value of it should be like $120, $130, but we're like, let's cap it. We're not going to charge more than that. We'll just hopefully have a more realistic profit margin on expansions and stuff like that. We're in this for the long haul. We want to do a whole series, a system, something bigger. And as far as like launching the core set, it was killing us. What do you put in it? You've got all these ideas, and we're all about theme. We want to include all of the like essential Old West elements. That means that you have to have a lawman. You have to have a bandito. Yeah. We want to have a preacher, because he can cast sermons and like banish demons and be casting judgment. He's almost like a magic user of the Old West, you know? That's a necessity, you have to have that. But can you do a game of the Old West without a saloon girl? I don't think you can, but you have to have a gunfighter. And are all these, I mean, where's the Indian?
Have a marshal.
Yes. So we had about 30 different hero types that we really wanted to do. Boiling it down to 4 was destroying us inside. We're like, but we have to have this and this and this. But the way that it breaks down, we can't do more than that in a box set. So we thought, what if we tried a Kickstarter and see if we could actually, you know, raise some money to where we could double it and actually do 2 core sets that are equal but totally different. So different heroes, different enemies, different items, different worlds to visit, different tiles, all of this stuff. But you can buy A, you can buy B, you can put them together, and so that requires a lot of money. This is a very expensive set to produce. So we thought, let's do a Kickstarter for it, see what happens, see what the interest level is. We did that. It was going really well, and we started, like, you know, everybody says, I'm not prepared, or whatever, and we're like, okay, well, we're not going to be those guys, we're going to be prepared. So I did all of the artwork for stretch goals for the first, like, 2 weeks, something like that. Those were gone within a couple days. And we were not prepared. It's the cliche thing to say, but it happened, and it just blew up in a really big way, and so we're like, ah! Now, we weren't in the situation where we were trying to make up stuff. We had tons and tons of concept art where it's like, well, we wanted to do a wandering samurai, but that's like, you know, 5 years down the road if it's popular. But that stuff all got in there, and we just kept opening stretch goals, and we felt very proud of the fact that, you know, while some people have their stretch goals every like $50,000 or $100,000 or something, we're like, no man, we're doing really often, and every 10,000, every 25,000, whatever. We have those in, and that is awesome. The problem is we went great guns. We just kept like throwing it all on there, and then at the end we're like, oh, that was amazing, what a ride. Woo! It's like, oh my god, we have to make all this stuff. And we had not done some of these things. We never worked with the hard plastic. As it turns out, everything costs more when you're doing multi-piece kits and hard plastic. And we wanted these to be more hobby kind of miniatures, like higher detail, customizable, posable in some cases, paintable, all these things to make it closer along the lines of the games that we grew up just spending all of our time on, you know, like the different Games Workshop games and stuff. We were all about that. We loved it. And while we really love board games, this is something, it's an itch that had not been scratched. And so it was like, what if we actually could do this? We could make miniatures, we could have them, you know, posable, customizable, paintable. That would be amazing. And so at the end, when the dust settled and we started doing it for real, it cost way more than we thought. And it cost more than the Kickstarter. Oh, yeah. And so, so now we have a ton of stuff to generate, and the problem is that we don't do anything halfway, and I don't know that we can. Like, we certainly wouldn't want to. What I mean is, like, I'm not capable of doing that. Jason is not capable. We could not, like, bring ourselves to put something out the door that's not really, really cool. And so all these things that during the Kickstarter seemed like a little thing. Like we had a board set where it's like Caverns of Cinder boards, like a new world to explore, and so you get some boards or whatever. I mean, that sounds good as a notion, and that's a little stretch goal that was in there that we blew through. Once we started looking at it, we're like, well, wait a minute. In the main game, you have this huge tile set. So when you go to either the Swamps of Jargono or the Targa Plateau, the other worlds in the core sets, you have this huge set. Now, if we have another world like expansion like Caverns of Cinder, and we don't have that many tiles, we don't match it, then all of a sudden it's like, well, when you go to this place, you've got this vast place to explore. When you go to Caverns of Cinder, there's like 4 rooms or something like that. Oh, don't go to Caverns of Cinder, it's tiny, you know? It's ridiculous. So we decided, okay, realistically, we need to make a set of tiles the same as the main box set. The main box set costs $100. I mean, like, it's a problem, right? And the other thing is, as a gamer, when we picture what it means to have an expansion for another world, it doesn't just mean like new tiles where it's like, well, look, over there it's ice and now it's lava. No, it means that there's new encounters that happen there that are totally unique, and something all surrounding lava and fire and stone, all of this stuff. New artifacts you can get, weird new monsters that you fight. There's a whole other thing to it. And so a lot of these little ideas have expanded out. And so we're trying to do our best to make every single one like awesome.
So is the dust starting to settle?
There's a little dust settling, but there's so much to do. And really, the Kickstarter itself was to expand to 2 core sets. And so the 2 core sets are the main thing. Everything else is add-ons or stretch goals. And so the 2 core sets, we felt like it was really important to try to deliver those when we said we would, you know, a year later, or less than a year later, really, because we had said August. We had them against all odds that August, debuting at Gen Con, and we did a Kickstarter pickup this last year, and then sending them out around the world, and that happened over, you know, September, October, some into November, and some stragglers even later than that. And now at this point, everybody has their Wave 1, which is the core sets, and Wave 2 is everything else. And this wasn't even part of what we were thinking at the beginning. We thought, oh, we'll just generate the stuff and send it out the door. We had no idea how big everything was going to get, or how many stretch goals we were going to open, or how many add-ons we were going to add. And so there's so much stuff we could not possibly deliver it as one shipment. So we made the very painful decision to do Wave 1 and Wave 2 to get people to make base games as soon as possible. But that doubled the shipping cost for everybody. And we had already basically, at the time that we did this, Kickstarter was all about, like, oh, it's free shipping in the US, and it's subsidized shipping everywhere else, so we just charge, you know, 25 bucks flat fee, and you get it wherever you live, and that kind of thing. And so we followed suit. If you look at Kickstarter now, that's not the case. Everybody's doing actual shipping costs and whatever, and that's because we found out actual shipping is a lot. And these games weigh a ton. They're like bricks.
This is a small box and it's light, but to ship this overseas is probably 40 bucks.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And so, you know, taking the hit of not knowing, you know, what we were getting into with the shipping, then times 2, because it's separated now into a Wave 1 and a Wave 2, it's brutal. And we certainly can't afford to do Wave 3 and Wave 4 and all that stuff, so everything else needs to come in Wave 2. But we wanted to give people option. Wave 2 is going to be sometime in 2016. That's a long haul, especially if you already have the main sets.
Right.
So what we created was a Wave 1.5. We offered that in the Pledge Manager, and it's basically at a halfway point between Wave 1 and Wave 2. We'll give you everything that we have done, which should be like half of the stuff roughly. And so that's what we've been working toward. And Wave 1.5, all the models that you see here as these Gen Con previews, those are Wave 1.5 models. And there's more beyond this that's not done yet. Not that these are done, but you know, the injection molded plastic models are done, the printed cards are done. So we're going to have all this stuff printed. We're going to be sending it out hopefully in October as a Wave 1.5 for the people that paid their own shipping to get a Wave 1.5. And then Wave 2 will be sometime next year where you get everything remaining.
So roughly how many models are in Shadow of Brimstone?
I lost count. There's obviously 4 heroes in each main set. Monsters in each core set. It depends, it's different between the 2, but there's always, each one has one XL size huge bad guy, and then some large guys and some small guys.
150 to 200?
You mean total?
Yeah, total
individual sculpts kind of thing?
Yeah.
There's probably out now, or maybe with that, I don't know. There's I don't know. I would have to look it up.
Okay.
I don't want to say something wrong.
Yeah, they won't
because I don't
forgive
have
you.
the real. Well, that's another thing about the Kickstarter. We used to just talk off the cuff because we're just guys, you know. And so we're gamers. So when people come up and they're like, "Oh man, yeah, we wanted to do that. We did this. We zigzagged, whatever." And with the Kickstarter, people take things very, very literally. So if you say, "Well, we're going to try to do that in October," then that becomes, "You promised me October. You swore on a stack of Bibles that it would be here in October," and so we've had to start like saying, "Well, we're going to hope to try to have a shadow of a ghost of a chance," you know, and it makes us feel bad because it feels like the politicians or something. That's the last thing we want.
That's almost what you have to be with Kickstarter.
I don't like that. Anyway, the Kickstarter is amazing, but it has a few unforeseen downsides, like we talked about earlier. But I mean, you know, it's a net good thing because we were able to grow as a company, and a lot more people have heard of our games, and that's brilliant. So that's what we're focusing on. That's the exciting part. And as far as non-Kickstarter stuff, for retail people, the main thing that we'll hear from people that see the Kickstarter but didn't get in on it is like, "Oh, I'm too late. Oh, I this or that, whatever. They need to know the only thing in the Kickstarter that was exclusive was this Outlaw hero class. And so all the other stuff is going to be out in retail. Not a problem. The Kickstarter was an amazing deal. The Kickstarter was actually too good a deal, as it turns out, because we probably will lose money on almost every Kickstarter backer, because the stuff is costing so much, and we charged so little, and everything's constantly expanding. And I think that's why I've backed a bunch of Kickstarters, and I've followed it. I see the trends and what's going on, and what you'll see is that there's a lot of people that hit it big and they're generating stuff, and then it kind of feels like at the end they had to shove a bunch of stuff in a box and send it out, and then later on there are times where they have to do revised rule books and things to try to fix. It's like, we had to get the stuff out, we had to hurry. And we feel that pressure. There's definitely, it feels like the dogs are barking at the gates, and we're like trying to hold them off, and it's like, no, like, you don't, trust me, you don't want us to just shove stuff in a box. Just be patient a little bit longer, and you're going to get something that's amazing. You're going to play for the next 20 years. And so...
And it's good. Everybody should have that attitude of waiting.
I'm going to have a little bit of beverage right now.
You're loud.
Big Red. This is our stuff. I don't know what this is.
But, okay, so that's Shadows of Brimstone.